The Medaka Box universe's very own Ajimu Nanami, a being who's waited trillions of years to find a being to challenge her. Could Dante, the son of the Dark Knight Sparta, be the final nail in her coffin? To start off simple on Ajimu's scaling, she was able to blow up the elusive star in a matter of seconds. In terms of the speed of this attack, just assuming it's the closest star to us, that being Proxima Centauri, that's being around 4.24 light years away from us, the speed need of this feat would be calculated upwards of 89 million times the speed of light. And with the attack potency, yes, this attack of course would obviously be star level as she just obliterated a star. When incorporating the fact that this attack not only covered an extremely large distance, but was also able to overcome the star's GBE, and when applying the inverse square law, this feat comes out to around solar system level. By the way, credits to the GOAT Gorox for this calc. Something to emphasis though is that she was able to output the solar system levels of energy casually as it was some sort of gag. But for Ajimu's higher end scaling, one of her quadrillions of abilities, that being Baby Planet, is a literal ability that allows her to create universes on the spot, easily making her universal now. But though something I do want to address is her fictional transcendence, as she does see her verse and anyone in it as fiction, even to the point where the narrator calls her transcendent. Now, does this mean she's higher dimensional? No, and I'll explain why.
Hey guys, Mr. Crafty. Heads up, sorry for the audio difference and the video difference. I'm just trying to show you a physical representation of what a fictional transcendence would look like. And if you did fictionally transcend something, people try to say, oh, then it's equivalent to dimensionally superior or dimensionally transcending it, as they try to use the argument, for example, if this is two-dimensional, a two-dimensional piece of paper, two-dimensional story, us as three-dimensional beings are superior to it, so we fictionally transcend it, it's going to be, dimensionally superior. However, they use the preconceived notion that this is actually two-dimensional. This is not the case. As for example, this manga pages are made of three-dimensional paper, three-dimensional ink. So even yes, we are, superior to this narrative, potentially the cosmology. It's debatable that even. We are superior to it, but we do not dimensionally transcend it, as this is still 3D. So it's not equivalent to dimensional transcendence. It's a tier below that, but it's still a superiority to her said narrative.
Even her fictional transcendence is more implied that she doesn't transcend her verse, as she only views the people in it as paper or fiction, as just her ability to affect the narrative can be seen as the transcendent part of her, and it's pretty blatant that she doesn't normally scale to her cosmology, as Lahito can only be hurt by a fighting style that transcends dimensions, as well as being implied to be a higher dimensional being himself, although she does have an ability to allow her to surpass dimensions, and if she does use this, she can be argued before the 5th dimensional, depending if you think their cosmology has transcending dimensions or not. Okay bro, look at these abilities. I'm not reading all of them. I'm not editing all of this. Just wait for the conclusions. Alright, thank you. Dante Sparta, the strongest devil hunter and the son of the Dark Knight Sparta. But how strong is Dante truly? As early as DMC 1, Dante was able to fight and beat the demonic creation known as Nightmare. Even when aided with the help of Trish, Dante still prevailed. And Dante is able to beat him while embased in state and lore. Nightmare is stated in almost every continuity to be able to destroy, and in some translations actually able to lift the demon realm as well. So how big is the demon realm? The demon realm is stated in both DMC 1 and 3 to be endless. Now endless means to have no boundaries or limits, and it can be associated with infinity. But what really nails this in the coffin is the fact that the DMC 1 light novel states that the demon realm houses an infinite amount of demons, blatantly showing that in a narrative point the demon realm is infinite. And with base Dante being able to bully Nightmare, Dante would be high universal just in base by the time of DMC 1. Enters his Devil Trigger becomes an entirely different beast, as he can fight equal to Mundus. Mundus with just a flap of his wings is able to create an encompassing space or dimension around him and Dante, with the album guide stating that this space was not only a universe but also an infinitely expanding one at that. It's also stated that this realm was beyond human comprehension. Now in this context of this feat, they view being beyond human comprehension something greater than infinity or infinite. Now this could be argued to be 4th dimensional, but there is much more proof for this. As in the DMC1 light novel, Chenwick's sample of Dante's father's DNA was said he had the power or knowledge beyond all laws, time, and dimension. This is shown to be true as just in 70% of the state, he was stated just as his being who had no concept of time and space. And Mundus actually had to fight against the full Sparta, in which he did eventually lost, but has shown the Comic Titans to actually fight and have a decently match with him. And he should massively upscale from Chen with this. Even the Demon King Argosax was stated to be not only transcend all living things, but reiterated upon to transcend all. He's also stated to transcend both time and distance and just his raw speed alone, as stated in the DMC2 Complete Guide. And if you want to say that he's translating our third dimensional distance, he would be fourth dimensional as well. With Mundus and Argosax stated to be equals, he would scale to this. Essentially, it's very consistent that the god tiers are transcendent or beyond this 4D level, in which Devil Trigger Dante scales to by the time of DMC1. Now, after the events of DMC1, Dante completely surpasses Devil Trigger state in just base. As during the DMC1 light novel, in base, Dante fights an alternate dimension version of Mundus who was stated to be stronger than the previous one he fought, and he did this all in base. This can be seen as consistent, as in DMC2 he fought bullied Argosax while in base. This is highlighted upon in DMC4 light novel that Argosax was so weak in comparison to him that he was not even worth remembering. Meaning now Dante's base would be 4th dimensional or universal plus. And if he would enter his Devil Trigger state, he would be unquantifiably infinite amount of infinities of an increase stronger, as it was able to bring him from 3D to 4D before, which is one example of the difference between dimensions or higher dimensions. If you have a 2-dimensional square and you stacked an infinite amount of infinities of 2-dimensional squares on it, it will never gain depth or become 3D. With said difference can be applied throughout all other higher dimensions, not being a greater increase, or Dante by DMC4 would be 5th dimensional. Now in DMC5, Dante and Devil Trigger was completely one-shotted by Urizen, making Urizen 5th dimensional, and later he was able to fight an even stronger Clyphop through Urizen and beat him in base, making Dante's new base in DMC5 5th dimensional, and if he would ever enter his Devil Trigger like how he did against Virgil, he'd be 6th dimensional or low complex multiversal. Now Dante is really fast. As early as DMC1 he would have inaccessible speed, as he was not only able to exist and move inside Mundus' temple, which is stated in the DMC1 album guide that stated that it was a space diverged from the flow of time. He's also able to fight equally to Mundus, which again inside the DMC1 light novel, it stated that he was a being free from the flow of time. All of these showings would be putting him or Mundus at inaccessible speeds, but this speed can be taken even further. As we've already established, the Demon King Argosax is already stated to transcend not just both time and distance with his sheer movement alone. Even the Demon King Pluto is stated in the side tips and DMC Pico Combat to be so fast that he bypasses the dimensional access of the time stream with his raw speed alone. And here's a good time to interject and just explain the canonicity of Pico Combat. It's not only officially licensed and supervised by Capcom, but on the official site they also give us a time frame for where it fits in and doesn't contradict the source material. It's also been stated in interviews that not only do they carefully fit in each installment of Devil May Cry so it's canon, but also give the creator to personally supervise the project so that he would consider it canon as well. And so with all of those previous feats I listed, this would put Dante at immeasurable speed.
But Dante's 9th dimensional.
Alas, I knew someone would bring this up, so I might as well nip this right now. So yes, if you read the expert of the tips, it does state that souls are 9th dimensional form. But if you read this, you are ignoring the whole context of this. It states that the soul originates and returns to a higher dimension beyond the Eightfold Path. The Eightfold Path is a concept in Buddhism or Hinduism that involves breaking free from the cycle of samsara and entering nirvana. Now the realms of the 8 paths are considered dimensions, but mental and spiritual and not spatial. So it being 9th dimensional is probably in reference as it's numerically the 9th dimension beyond the 8th. Kind of like how time is considered the 4th dimension, as numerically it's the 4th dimension of measurement. As there's nothing in the entirety of the Devil May Cry franchise that implies that spatial higher dimensions exist, and especially within context of this feat, it would be spiritual. And something I want to put out is that Buddhism is heavily implied in DMC, and I recommend watching this video for more context and understanding. When talking about Dante's abilities, we should go over his demonic biology. Something to go over is their names. The names of demons are not only stated to represent their power, but also the concepts of their being, as well as that being a part of their soul, with the DM3 manga iterating on this topic, making demons and Dante conceptual beings. And for Dante's own regeneration, it's been stated that as long as the demon pursues the fight, they'll continue to regenerate, even if their body, soul, and their name is destroyed, which, as we've already established, their names are their concepts. Meaning, even if you completely destroy their concept, they can regenerate and continue to fight, giving demons or Dante high godly regen, and also Dante can negate regen on this level as he can kill demons. Dante also has a unique form of conceptual manipulation, as his father was able to rob the names and then give new names to demons or other beings. As already established, their names are their concepts, meaning he was able to rid them of their concept and then give them new ones, and when he rid them of their concept, they were left completely powerless, hence because they lost their concept. Which Dante inherited this, meaning Dante can conceptually power null you and just essentially give you a different concept if he wanted to. He also has many showings of fear manipulation, as well as soul manipulation, as he can resist regular demons trying to steal his own soul. As well as being a demon himself, demons can crush the souls of others who are weaker with just their presence alone. He also has extreme battle IQ and development, as he was able to beat Chen, who initially had infinite knowledge and was at the beginning of the fight able to beat, and he couldn't even outwit or maneuver him. Towards the end though, he learned how. But with his equipment, he has far more access to different abilities, such as the Doppelganger style, which you can create a clone of himself to fight with, the Quicksilver style, which sends out a dimensional time rift wave that allows him to slow down his enemies while speeding himself up, and with the Royal Guard, he can block and counter any attacks the enemies put at him, and he can build up enough energy to throw an even stronger attack at them. And with Pandora's Box, he can create any new weapon he can imagine. And lastly, the Book of Demons. The Book of Demons can seal the souls of beings, turning them into data and then absorbing their power and gifting the powers to the user. Now, Dante's encountered and absorbed a lot of demons, so I'll just quickly go over the demons and what primarily thing they give you. He has the Mourning Banshee's immortality, for as long as even an aspect of his enemy exists, he will instantly regenerate and come back to the fight, even if he's already dead. The Fallen Priest's ability to not only erase the existence of others, which can include their concept as he erases the soul, which, as we established, the concept and the soul are a part of each other, but also its ability to not be bounded by the concepts of life and death. The Kengen's ability to not only see the past, present, and destinies of others, but also all countless possible futures. And lastly, the Angel of Damnation's ability to curse the soul of anyone and make him die, and also remove curses from himself or others. And something to also note, that Dante was able to resist these abilities before even ever absorbing them, so he even had prior resistance to these abilities as well. After going both parties' respective stats and abilities, Dante's overwhelmingly more stronger and faster than her. Beyond infinitely stronger and faster if you want to be technical, even if you give Ajimu her higher ends. Even with going over their abilities, Ajimu does have a lot of power nullification, other conceptual stuff, but Dante has that just to a far better extent. Essentially, Dante would just style on her and the entire verse. And thank you for watching this video. I'm sorry it took a little bit longer for it to come out. It just was really hard going over Dante and both characters respectively. And before I end this off, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And thank you, Miss Yummy, for this donation. And that'll be all. Mr. Crafty